Hey there, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. It's time to have a look and see what is going on with your monthly astrology forecast for March 2022. And just a quick reminder for all of you out there, I also do monthly tarot card forecasts that come out at the end of the month, so stay tuned for that next week. And don't forget that if you are a YouTube member supporter or a Patreon supporter, you also have access to weekly tarot forecasts every Saturday. If you would like to get a session with me, you can go on ahead to my website, integrativemysticism.com, or you could simply follow the links in the down bar below. And don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe. You know I appreciate it, and of course engagement helps this channel out a lot. So, what is going on when it comes to March? March is a very kinetic, very active month for everybody. Still overwhelmingly positive, but at the same time, you're just going to have to be ready to get the let out with a lot of things, because this is one of those months that just kind of goes. There's always something new turning on every single day. We start off the month with a new moon in Pisces on the 2nd. And this is your 12th house of your past, privacy, hidden zone, old business, or maybe even old legacies and old stories. With a new moon, talking about new beginnings and new cycles, this 2-week window opens up between the 2nd of the month and the 17th of the month for you to bring something back to life, something that maybe used to be a regular or a mainstay in your own journey, whether this was a project, whether this was a pursuit, a talent, an enterprise, an old connection, an old friendship, or maybe even reconnect with something that you wish you still had or you would like to start back up again. Whether this is something that never really got a chance to shine or something that did, but, it had its time and we'd like to have it again, this new moon is a resurrection moon. And so really important to see, in the first half of the month, what is it you would like to bring back to life? Especially since we are going through a lot of cycles, coming back for a bit of a revisit this year. Really think about what you had going on prior to 2014. We also have Venus and Mars walking hand in hand into Aquarius on the 6th. And they will both be here until the end of the month, actually going into April. Now, Aquarius is your 11th house of friendships, social networking. To a certain degree, this could be an area that talks about popularity, your platonic support system, and of course, your biggest, most personal goals, ambitions, and ideals, right? The biggest adventures you'd like to go on, the highest heights you'd like to climb. With Venus here from the 6th through the rest of the month, we've got favor, popularity, love, and affection flowing from this area of your life. And you're going to be noticing a lot of generosity coming from your support system, from the crowds you're rolling with, the people that you're bumping elbows with. And with Venus in the 11th, it's also important to understand that matchmaking opportunities are also very likely here, especially when it comes to anything that could hook you up with maybe stronger work prospects, or maybe even matchmaking in love if you are looking for a new romance story. In fact, with Venus in the 11th house, it's not unlikely that you may actually meet somebody through one of your friends or a friendship circle that you are a part of, or possibly even have somebody that's already a member of one of these spaces have a chance to maybe explore a newfound chemistry with, or a long-standing chemistry with. This is also a time for those of you who are currently coupled to become a lot more extroverted in your relationship, go on a lot more adventures, bring a lot more spice of life. You and a partner are more than likely going to be spending a lot of time broadening your horizons, even bringing in a stronger support network for the couple, for the family, for the marriage across the board. Mars here is going to be bringing that action, energy, passion, that obstacle clearing, driving force focus to your 11th house as well. And so more is going to be coming through your friendship circle, your contacts, and your network. With Mars here, what tends to happen is we get a chance to start teaming up with some very high-powered collaborations in larger groups, not necessarily just one-on-one connections, but maybe groups of 3 or 4, maybe a huge swath of people. But with Mars, this is all about overcoming obstacles that maybe would have been too difficult or taken too long to go at on your own. This is happening in your personal life and it's happening in your professional life. However, with Mars in the 11th house, it's also important to remember that Mars will also be revealing where your friends really are. And there could be some moments this month of revelation of, well, okay, who's really here for me? Who can really show up for me? Mars does not suffer fair weather friendships or, as needed acquaintanceships or anything shallow. And so you might find that any kind of connection you have that may be more like that could be put under a bit of strain, while the friendships that really go to the core, the bonds that really go to the core, the brotherhoods and sisterhoods that go to the core are lifted up. So what is true blue is getting lifted and getting supported and getting the boost, but what is not true blue is going to be revealed so it can get on out. When it comes to Mercury, and Mercury's move through the month, Mercury is kind of cruising through 2 signs this month. We've got Mercury entering Pisces on the 9th, going back to that talk about your 12th house, the past, privacy, hidden zone, excuse me, anything to do with, again, old stories and old business. Mercury, the planet of communications, haste, and speed, is going to be here from the 9th of the month through the 28th of the month, so pretty much all of March. With Mercury in your 12th house, this is going to be a time where a lot of shortcuts, a lot of behind-the-scenes secrets, a lot of news, and a lot of missing information about past situations are going to be coming to you as well. With Mercury in the 12th house, as well as that new moon influence and the sun influence there for the first 3 weeks of the month, we're seeing this opportunity for a lot of you to get current with a lot of things that may have fallen behind in your life, as well as open up old lines of communications or even reconnect with opportunities that could be very gainful, either financially or maybe just in terms of quality of life, that ultimately you have always aspired to have but have been left sitting on the table in some way. With the sun also being in Pisces through the 20th of the month, bringing that attention, enhancement, and support to your 12th house, this is also going to be a time where a lot of you Aries people are going to be getting the chance to start bringing things out in the open that have been forced to stay small. Because with the sun in the 12th house, anything that you've been kind of working on in private, things that maybe you feel like you have lacked the resources or the attention, enhancement, and support to bring out for a bit of a debut, whether it's some kind of craft, maybe a new career plan, a new vocation, a new dream, a new aspiration, something near and dear to your heart. Maybe you're thinking about taking a talent or creative skill that you have, maybe more seriously. This is going to be a time where the attention on these arts, on these efforts, on these drives is going to be coming in and pulling all of that out of the shadows, as it were. Because with the sun in Pisces, everybody is getting an opportunity to finally purge or clean out a lot of personal closets, but this is also happening in such a way where things that ultimately had been maybe forced to wait on other matters, whether it was other matters going on in family, other matters going on, again, just in the practical world, finally get to have their day. And this is also a time where we can maybe rebond or set new glue in long-standing alliances and friendships that we've had for a very long time, but maybe we would have lost touch with in some way. We also have the sun moving into your sign after the 20th, where it will be through week 3 of April. And on the 28th, we have Mercury moving into your sign as well for the rest of the month and going into April. So whenever we have planets in our sign, in our first house, we get kind of the wild card blessing of those planets to do with or put to use however we will, right? There is free will involved in astrology, and I am going to be coming out with a video talking more about that here soon. With the sun in your first house, this is where all attention is on you. Your popularity is starting to soar. We're going through your birthday period, but we're also seeing a lot more generosity coming your way from the outside, very much building on that Venus and Mars in Aquarius. And so it's going to be important for you to be ready to be a bit more involved, a bit more extroverted, but also at the same time allow yourself to receive a lot of gifts and a lot of input and a lot of extra pairs of hands and eyes and ears that maybe you've not necessarily been able to work with, or maybe you weren't sure you knew how to bring in on some of your more personal or deeply treasured aspirations. The sun here is also going to give you an opportunity to reconnect the dots when it comes to maybe something you may have lost track of, or maybe a long-term plan that maybe kind of went awry, got off on the wrong road. And again, we're kind of doing this with that new moon as well, kind of getting you back into a space where you are reconnecting with things that are deeply personal, deeply rewarding, that maybe, again, we just kind of lost sight of. Mercury here is also bringing that communications, haste and speed and productivity focus to you. And through the last few days of this month and going into April, this is a time for you to speed up developments in things that have become a bit sluggish. Where have things been maybe growing a bit too slowly? Whether it's things that you've been trying to do for yourself, your career, something you've been developing on your own, or maybe with friends, with comrades. Sometimes what can happen with Mercury in the first house is we get a chance to really pick up the pace, because sometimes things progress too slowly in order to actually amount to anything. And Mercury is here giving a shot of caffeine to all of your doings. So if something has been taking too long, we want to move up a deadline, we want to move up a fruition, we want to actually, speed things forth into being. It's going to be great for you, especially at the end of March and even into April. Finally, I want to cover the full moon of the month, and that, of course, is going to be in Virgo on March 18th. And that's going to be setting up the story of the second half of the month. Now, a full moon is all about culminations, transitions, and endings, and movement. A full moon in your sixth house of work, reputation, your schedule, the services that you offer, as well as your health and lifestyle, is ultimately changing a lot of what you consider to be your normal. What is your status quo? What is going on your everyday? A full moon here is more than likely going to give a lot of you Aries people a chance to make a big segue. Whether this is something you are trying to do where you can change the services you offer, give yourself a bit of a raise, maybe even start to work with more highly capable teams, or give yourself a more competitive opportunity in the job market, whether it's internally or externally, could go either way with the sixth house. And this is also a time for those of you who are maybe thinking about taking a certain health goal or maybe health priority in a new direction to precipitate a faster payoff. And so, again, everything is about fast if you haven't noticed this month. So that is what I've got for you, Aries people. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Y'all know I appreciate it. And should you ever want to get a session with me, go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.